I've been following John probably for about, I want to say it's got to be about 5 years, I reckon, maybe even longer when I met. In fact, I remember, I was actually thinking about it this morning, John. I remember you taking my very first headshot at the IFP conference, and I was in my blue dress with the lacy arms, with my big quiff. Oh, how times have changed. And it's only recently that actual photo stopped being used and in circulation, because I'm about, I don't know, 15 years older now. So, but John, thank you very, very, very much for joining me. Listen, I want to I want you to kick us off. I want you to talk a little bit about who you are and what makes you so special. And I want you to really big up John, right? Because you're a very special guy. A bit about your background. And I want you to share with people how you got into doing what you do. So over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for inviting me on. It's longer than 5 years, as you say. It probably is about 15 years ago when we took that photograph, because down at Celtic Manor, yes, yeah, we've known each other. Because also my lovely birthday twin always used to go to that, Tina, as well, Tina Weeks.
Oh, yes.
They're the same birthday, not the same year, but the same.
No, lovely.
But, yeah. So yeah, I'm John, also known as the Headshot Guy, and we shoot people for a living. We make them smile and capture fantastic images. I've been a photographer all my working life. I actually got into photography by accident, because I wanted to join, when I was a kid, I always wanted to join the Air Force, join up as an engineer, but I didn't get the qualifications that I needed at school. But I still went to the careers office, and they said, well, actually, this photographic trade is, you've got enough qualifications to sign up as a photographer. So I did, and never looked back.
Wow.
Sort of, yeah, that was 1982. Yes, a long time ago. So 40 odd years I've been in the photographic trade. Obviously, seen a few changes over that time with technology and everything else. But yeah, it stood me well. I remember my dad said to me, don't mind what you do as long as you learn a profession. And his words were very wise. And as I say, I'm still doing that profession today and still loving it. So I stayed in the Air Force for about 17 years doing photography. Finished up doing their PR photography. So I was working with the newspapers, with the magazines, and the press, and photographing all sorts of things from exercises and operations, flying in fast jets, and yeah, no, it was great. It was a brilliant job. But then did 17 years and decided actually it's time to sort of move on. If I'd have stayed in, I'd have probably been moved out of photography as such. And yeah, once you start taking pictures, you just want to carry on doing that. So I came out in '99 and then worked for the Times for about 8 years.
Did you?
Yeah. Those are my connections I've made in my last sort of role with the newspapers and things. I just went around and chatted to a few people and ended up sort of freelancing for the Times for about 8 years. Mainly doing sort of complete change, mainly doing sport and sports features.
Gosh.
Photographing, the rugby, football, all the top sports games, but more the bit that I really enjoyed most was not the live action stuff. It was the actual people, the interviews. Yeah. So going around to meet famous sports people and photographing them, getting some nice portraits to accompany, interviews and things like that. So people, and just trying to, walking into a situation and looking around how we're going to photograph this person, and sometimes in the most sort of bland places, and just try and get a fantastic portrait that's going to, go in the sheet in the newspapers the next day. So lighting was always my thing as well. I always used to love lighting and seeing how I could light something. So I was sort of known for going to press conferences with a couple of little flash heads and just popping flash and everywhere and just creating something out of nothing really, and just playing with lighting. And also, so I guess the technical skills from the photography were learned through that, and then the people skills come in, because you've obviously got to meet someone straight away, no matter how famous they are, get them relaxed, get them confident, and get them comfortable with how you want to photograph them. Got some knockback. Some people say, why do you want me to do that? Well,
I like your face.
I want to get a great picture of you, basically. I don't think the paper are going to want to print a bad picture for you. I think that you're going to want to see a bad picture of you, but Yeah, there were a couple of awkward people, I should say. However, you know,
we know them, John. There's plenty of them knocking around.
There is, but everybody's different. I mean, that's, you know, the thing of what we do nowadays is we photograph thousands of people, you know, and everybody is slightly different. And it's knowing how to walk into a situation, meet someone straight away, break that ice, and get them to where you want them to be. I mean, that's the skill. That's where we, you know, where, you know, a lot of people, photographers excel. You know, it's just getting connected with somebody straight away.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are really, really nervous about having a photograph taken, and and you see they come in, they don't know what to do. I mean, we do all of that anyway, as you know. We pose people up, we tell them what to do, how to stand, how to look. But a lot of people, they sort of, you know, they come in and they're really sort of low down their levels, and we're up here, so we need to sort of come down and then just bring them up to where we want them to be on that sort of, you know, on that just energy level, really, and then capture that energy. So it's really, it's a fascinating job. And like, you know, your wow, I mean, that's what we try to get people to that wow, as in when they look at their photographs, they go, wow, you know, is that really me? So they see themselves in a totally different light. You know, they see themselves as other people see them. And that's, you know, that's our moment. That's why we do what we do. It's getting to that moment.
Well, you know what? I mean, as I'm writing down some like notes and stuff that I want to pick up on, because obviously I've got this wonderful set of predetermined questions, right? But I think we're going to end up going all over in true me style. But the first thing, thank you for all of that, right? Because I think, you know, a lot of that I didn't even know about you. So it's always fascinating. And I think what's nice about it is there's always a story about how people have got here. It's not just, oh, he just takes photos and he's just a headshot guy. A couple of things I want to pick up on. So obviously you are the headshot guy and you've got this registered trademark, right? Like you could have been just any photographer. You know, there's many photographers that have no brand. There's many photographers, and quite frankly, how on earth do you pick from a vast sea of photographers? Talk to me a little bit about why you went for the brand of the headshot guy and how that has transformed your business. Because the reason I asked that, John, is that, you know, we've trademarked terms like wow, and we've got the WOW program, and we've got business reviews, and, you know, we call these things all these different names, but I think it's something that someone can hang their hat on and go and refer to you not as John but as the head. So talk to me a little bit about what happened there. Why did you decide to do that brand, that trademark, that, you know, that piece? Explain that.
That's an interesting story as well. I mean, as most photographers, I started off as John Cassidy Photography, you know, which is my name, photography. And then I started to want to niche down into doing sort of more corporate work. So we don't do weddings and families and pets and anything like that. So it was more the corporate. So then I came up with John Cassidy Headshots originally.
Oh, right.
And then I was on a business course, and we were all in a one day, and the presenter put up some photographs of people that were in the room, and asked, "Who is this? You know, what they're known for?" And my picture went up, and somebody, whoever it was, that's the headshot guy.
Oh, wicked!
And it was like light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Because before, you know, my pitch was, I'm John, I'm a photographer specialising in headshots. And then it was like, oh,
so boring. It sounds so boring, doesn't it?
And I don't know to this day who that person was, but I owe them, you know, a lot, because and then I immediately got it trademarked. The main name was all available, and everything just sort of fell into place after that. Fabulous. So and you know, we walk, well, it's obviously on my shirt, we walk around, and it does what it says on the tin. So people,
do you know what? I love it. Let me tell you my story very quickly, right? Because it's so similar. So I when I first moved to Hertfordshire, I lived literally at the end of a business school college. Like they did like business studies. And I once was invited in, and I laughed because I was absolutely petrified. I walked in, I mean, bearing in mind, I'd been speaking on stage in front of thousands of people, and I'd been invited to present to a group of 18-year-olds, right? I was absolutely bricking it. And I walked in, and they're all in hoodies, and they're all kissing the teeth, and they're all a bit like, who the flaming hell's this woman standing in front of us? And they were business and marketing students. And I did my little presentation talking about one thing or another. And this girl, who I actually thought was, like she hated me the whole way through. She was like my adolescent daughter, right? And she came up to me, she went, so what's your stage name? I'm like, my what? And she's like, your stage name. She said, well, Lady Gaga ain't called Lady Gaga, is she? Like in real life. She's like, what? She said, well, what do people say to you when you come off stage? And I said, well, they say, well, that was wow. She's like, right. She's like, right. She's like, little Miss Wow. That was it. And it's stuck ever since. I don't know who she was. I don't remember her name. I don't remember anything about her, right? So it's exactly the same thing. And Little Miss Wow stuck, right? It's exactly the same thing. I think it's fab, John. I love that. I'm glad I asked because I didn't know how that had come about. I love it.
I think a lot of people may struggle with their names when they start out in business, but it's the best thing is to be known as what other people call you.
Yeah,
you know,
1000%.
And it's a name is very, very important, but I think you need to go out there in the world, do what you do, and then just that brand name will just come. Your stage name. I love that, your stage name.
Well, it's like it's like why they changed famous people's names from what they were to what they become, because you need an identity, right? And that's so we're talking about what people call us, but ultimately everybody needs to have some sort of recognizable, not just face, right, but recognizable identity. So I'm glad we've touched on that. A couple other things I want to pick up on.
Some people don't want to do that though. Some people don't want to be pigeonholed.
I know, but it's so helpful, isn't it, from a niching perspective?
Yeah. But it doesn't stop people asking me. I said earlier we don't do weddings and other stuff, but it doesn't stop people asking me, do I do it? Even though you're known for one thing, people will still come to you and ask you about doing other things.
Well, that's the power of niching, right? Because you still, you still do get asked. I mean, we get asked, do we work with we work with accountants and lawyers? We do, but not really, right? But we can if the client is the right client. Touching on one other thing that you said, and then I'm going to get into my question, because I'm only on question 1. We're 21 minutes in. You mentioned there, and you threw it in as a sort of throwaway. You talked about energy. Right now, I'm a massive one for energy, the sort of the waves, the vibes in my room, who I'm with. Talk to me a little bit about the difference in energies that you see in people when they're standing in front of you with the lights, camera, action, ready to go. Talk to me about the importance of energy and what you think people can do to sort of really get themselves in the right state, the right frame. Talk to me a little bit, because you've got to act really flipping quickly, haven't you? I mean, like, it's seconds to get someone in that zone. Talk to me about that.
Sometimes it is, yeah, and it's just that transfer of energy. It's just you need to be. I mean, it's no good to someone who's coming in front of the camera and you're like, oh, can you just do this?
Stand up.
Got to be right up there.
Yeah.
And just encourage them. And most people, hate having the photographs taken. They'd rather not. They'd rather probably go to the dentist and have the photographs taken, even though it's not a painful process. Yeah. However, we've got to capture great images of people. So we've just got to make them, help them shine in front of the camera. And again, it's just lifting them. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do, I try to make them forget that the camera's there in one respect. So I'm talking to them about other stuff.
You do,
yeah. Fortunately, I've got I've been doing this for quite some time, so I've got a wealth of experience in other areas of life, so I can talk to them about stuff. And and we just try different tools as such. What did they get up to at the weekend, and not much. Oh, okay, so that one's not going to work. So we find something else. And just try and find something that lights them up.
Their energy.
You can say one thing. I mean, I was photographing a guy once, financial services, accountant, fairly sort of, straight person, difficult to photograph. And I was trying loads and loads of stuff, loads of things, and nothing at all. I noticed he had a horse on his
cufflink.
I said, oh, you into horses? And suddenly,
incredible.
It was that. And it was like, so I just...
Now I've got him.
Waffled on about horses. Right. I mean, I used to photograph, when it was with the Times, we used to photograph racehorses and things like that. So I got some of that experience coming out, and we had a conversation then, and I got some great shots. Whereas beforehand, it would have been,
Yeah. And so I think ultimately, you know, you are taking pictures of people's faces for sure, but you're also trying to capture their energy, their motivations, their happinesses, their, you know, their feelings, aren't you? And I think the lesson there was you have to do it so quickly, and this is that building that rapport, breaking that ice. It's got to all be about energy, and it's about lighting the other person up.
Yeah,
there's no question, is there?
Well, that's our tagline: lighting people up. You know,
Oh,
and it's
is it? I
lighting
didn't know
people up literally from from putting the lights in front of them to actually lighting up inside. You know,
I
to
agree.
finding something that just makes their, you know, okay, makes their heart sing, for, you know, for want of better words. You know, just so that they all of a sudden, and then they see themselves in that light as well. I mean, that's the wow moment when they look at
It
themselves
is.
and think, I look like that. Wow. You know,
It
and
is.
that, but then that then transforms to what we really do as photographers, is confidence, is give them
Yeah.
the confidence that actually, because once they see a great photograph of themselves, that's going to give them confidence in many more
Yeah.
areas of life. You know, confidence to go and speak. Well, if I think I look that good and everyone's complimenting that photograph, it just sets you on a higher plane. You know,
It's
and
interesting. You know what? That photo that the first one you took of me, I must get the date of it right, but I think it was, I want to say it's 2013, and Ruby was 3. Ruby had been born in 2010, and that was a massive year for me. And that photo, because obviously it's the only professional photo I had taken that year. And it's interesting is that every time I've seen you and I've had my headshot done, it's almost captured a moment in my life as the journey has gone on. And the last one you did before the last one you just did was the one just before COVID, which was 2019. And I'd just done the presentation at Humans Under Management, and you took my headshot. And that was a massive, major traumatic time in my life. I got dumped. I found out my smart was having an affair. I mean, God, it all kicked off, right? But these moments are captured by your pictures, right? And yes, they are. Michelle, I took Michelle to Humans Under Management last week, and I was like, "Go, you need to go and have your headshot done. You need to go." And she's like, "Bloody yeah!" She's like, "I hate it. I hate it. I hate having my photo taken." I was like, "No, just remember tits and teeth, right?" So I was like, so I said to her, I was like, "Just do this a lot and push your boobs out and just smile and put." She's like, "That." Then she came back. I was like, "How was it?" She went, "Well, that was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever done in my life." She said, "But I look great." Like that. So I think you've got it. I think whatever you do it really, really well. So I just want you to keep going, right? And I'm going to pull you back into something that's very present, and then I am going to go through my questions. I think this is right, and stop me if it's not. So the weekly dose of mental sunshine was your, I just think that opens you up to being more than just a photographer. And I know you were just more than a photographer anyway, right? But did that start in lockdown?
It started towards the end of lockdown. So it's been going for, I've done 132 consecutive weeks now.
Yeah. And it's a
So
newsletter, right?
it's a
Newsletter.
yeah. And I've always had, a, a list of, a good sort of list of clients and things. And I always wanted to find a way of engaging with clients, which was non-salesy.
Photo.
It's value,
Yeah.
And then in lockdown, towards the end of lockdown, I changed things about my life, because of lockdown, and trying to work on my, mental health, my general well-being, and just trying and finding new things and new habits. And I was actually meditating one morning, and this idea came to me, just do that. And I was reading a book by Christian D. Larson, and then it says about, the mind works better in a state of mental sunshine. And I love that word. So I thought, why don't I just put out a newsletter about a weekly dose of mental sunshine, and it's just progressed from there. So it's just finding little wellness tips and things, and a lot of stuff I've been doing, and a lot of stuff I'm doing habitually now. My cold showers, my cold water swimming, love all of that. I was in my cold tub this morning for about 20 minutes at quarter to 7 this morning. Actually, birds were in the garden, and it just helps. Everything helps me, and so you just building on stuff. It's no good, doing everything at once. You just build on it. You know, I stopped drinking alcohol about 3 years ago completely. Feel much better for it. You know, I do mouth taping at night. It's just all these things. I mean, if you pile everything on at once, it would be, you know, overload.
So let me just confirm what John just said, right? Because it's important. So I know what John said, but if anyone that doesn't know what John said will think, what is he talking about? So mouth taping.
Oh yes, sorry.
is he's not mouth taping somebody else, he's mouth taping himself. So there is an incredible book. It's just called Breathe, right? And I've literally been reading it, and it talks about the body and what the body does, the face does, the organs do, everything when you breathe through your nose. We are all mouth breathers. Pretty much everybody is a mouth breather, you know, in and out through our mouth. And actually you need to breathe in through your mouth and through your nose, and ideally out through your mouth, but when you're asleep. And it's just amazing. So that's mouth taping for anybody that's like, what on earth is he talking about? Right, I needed to clarify, John. So can I, on that point, right, so I have this thing, and I say this a lot, that I think that the best breakthroughs come after the biggest breakdowns, right? And I say to my clients who are advisors, and I say, you know, whether I'm talking about business or I'm talking about life, and even when I talk to myself about things, some of the most amazing things have happened to me after it's been pretty shitty, right? And that can be anything. That can be a relationship breakdown, that can be I'm not happy where I live, that can be losing a big client, that can be whatever. Do you think that's right?
Yes.
Let me caveat it. Let me just caveat that, because I think I just make sure I'm really clear. Either that breakdown happens by somebody else to you, or you make the choice to break something that you're doing, like drinking, for example.
Yeah.
You either realize you're verging on being an alcoholic, or you're just going, actually, I think I'm just drinking a bit too much. Either way, I would class that as a breakdown of what you're currently doing to then have a breakthrough. That's what I mean by kind of the breakdown, either self-imposed or it's kind of imposed on you. Go on. Sorry.
No, yes. It's little things, you know. It's for me. I mean, the drinking was just, you know, why am I drinking? Really, wasn't drinking a lot, and just can I do? You know, it was all about, because I was a bit too overweight. You know, I wasn't doing exercise as much as I should have been. You know, what lockdown actually was really good, because I was out walking every day. We couldn't do anything else, so I was out. So I guess lockdown was the start of it, and then realizing actually, yeah, I need to look after myself much more, and what other things can I start to do to help. You know, I was listening to lots of audiobooks during lockdown. Out walking, I was walking out every day, you know, hours just going out, because it was getting out, and it was exercise, and it's, you know, I couldn't stay in the house all the time. You know, but we couldn't work. You know, we were at that stage where we, you know, it was complete lockdown, so we couldn't go and, you know, photograph people, for example. So I guess that started it, and you know, I've just been on that journey ever since, and finding out about other little things that I can try to do, and try and encourage other people to do as well.
I think it's fab. I think it's fab. You know, I remember emailing you one time, and I'll be totally honest with you. I'll be totally honest. I have not ever read one of your newsletters, not ever. No, but there is a reason I'm telling you this, right? I've saved them all. They're all in a folder, and when I take them on holiday, and I'll read through them. But you know what? I never needed to, John, because the title alone was enough for me. Just the title, just getting that pop in my subject header was always enough. And so when I remember emailing you and saying, look, John, you know, I've got them, I get them. Even if you don't get any feedback, keep them coming, because the title alone was enough. So you never really know, do you, who you're impacting, or whatever you might say or write. You never know where it's going to land. But I've never read one of them, but I've never needed to.
No, that's, I mean, I get lots of people come up to me that events and things like that, and say, "Oh, I love your weekly dose of mental sunshine."
Right.
And you know, I get a few people just saying thanks. You know,
it's great.
And it's just little tips, but it doesn't matter. It's just getting out, and people are spreading them. People say, "Oh, we'll share them with everyone at work." And
I think it's fab.
Funny story. I had someone say that the other night. I had someone message me saying newsletter ? On the on my chat thing. And oh, you'd like to sign up for newsletter? Yes, it's So I said, okay, I can do that. I said, by the way, how did you find out about this? And the answer was just daughter. And okay. And then I looked at the email address, and I messaged Ruby, because my daughter's Ruby as well, as you know.
Yeah.
I messaged Ruby and said, who is this? And she said, guess. And it's a boyfriend. So she's asked a boyfriend to sign up for my weekly dose of mental sunshine.
Oh, how fab.
Fantastic.
How fab. I love it. I love it. So look, let me now start my questions, John, because I think it's important. So I'm gonna, these are like almost a quick fire round, right? Because I think some of these are quite short and sweet. You know, what gets you out of bed in the morning, and how do you stay motivated?
Cold shower gets me out of bed.
Yeah, I know it does. No, it doesn't, though, does it? That keeps you.
Cold shower, or cold tub, or cold water swimming. Yeah, no, that gets me out. It's amazing. You feel, you're snuggled under the duvet, nice and warm, and everything else. And then, if it's swimming, it's sort of 20 minutes later by the time I drive to the lake. If it's going into the cold tub, it's 5 minutes later. I'm in the cold water, and I'm feeling as comfortable and as cozy in there as I am in my bed. And it just starts you off the day. It's just like, poof, it's cold water swimming. It's just, there is something about it, and everybody that does it is like the same. It's just like it just gives you that energy at the beginning of the day. And that, I mean, I'm still on a high from that this morning. And there's no drugs, it's just the natural chemical reaction in your body. And it's getting nice and cold now. So I'm actually going to a winter training swimming camp at the end of this month up in Scotland, where the water's about 3 or 4 degrees.
The mistake I made, my mum does open water swimming in North Berwick in Scotland, right? But I'm an amateur. I am built for warmer climates with my hot water bottle on my lap, right? And honestly, the mistake I made is the first time I ever went swimming in the water was in Scotland, and I literally wanted to die. Like, my mum's like, you need to toughen up. I'm like, no, I don't. I need to get my hot water bottle and my dry robe. I've got one of these really, these dry robes that amazing open water swimmers wear. I literally, the first time I wore it, it was brand new, and it was all, I've got like a luminous pink on the inside, and I felt like I'm dead cool. And people come up to me and they go, do you do that open? I go, no. Do you do that cold? No, I don't. I just want to look good in this dry robe, like I'm one of the gang. So yeah, so I think, so there's more and more people doing it, right? People are getting really into it. But my question is how do you feel whenever you don't do it?
I miss it. Yeah, I do miss it. I mean, there's a couple of times when I think, I mean, swimming in the lakes, there's a certain, that's one reason I got the cold tub at home, is because I can dip in it whenever I want.
I missed it.
I don't have to rely on, I can't go to the lake because the lake's not open at that time at night. Or, and it's good. I mean, it's good in the morning, but it's also good at coming home from a long stressful day, or long day. I say stressful day, but a long day on your feet. Yeah, if we do events and things, they're quite tiring days.
Yeah,
it's just nice to sit in there and just really zone out, because you don't. It's because I sort of meditate in there as well. So I just eyes closed,
amazing, John.
And just keep still. But I mean, this morning I went in there, and you go through a little sort of shivery stage and little odd shivers, and then the body just settles down, and it's just complete silence. And it's amazing. Yeah,
love it. I love it.
You just build it up, though. I mean, that's the thing. You can't just go jumping in
right to North Berwick.
You just build it up, and obviously,
I wanted to die, literally.
Advice if you got heart conditions and things like that.
Yeah.
But it is back to our natural state, really, because we weren't years and years ago, we didn't have central heating, we didn't have
but it's interesting. That's kind of how I feel about the photographs thing. It's like, when I look back at the photos, I know that is me that you've photographed, but it's like you can almost see the real girl in there. when you take those photos. And I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, me and Stuart are getting married in May, right? And finding the wedding photographer, Stuart's like, I want to meet them, I want to know what they're like, and I'm just like, I don't really mind about that, but I don't want these staged, horrible, you know, everyone in a line nonsense. I just want her to literally wander around and just capture faces and capture people, and you know. So I'm up there with you. So yeah, I'm thanks for sharing about the water thing. I did want to die though when I did it, but I will. I'm not. It's never over until it's over, right? I think. Can you share a memorable or inspiring story from your career that's had a significant influence on your journey? You can talk about a personal thing that's had that's really made their dent in your life.
Well, I guess it was my dad. You know, going back to what I said earlier, my dad said, "Don't mind what you do, just learn a trade." You know, this was back in the days where there were people did learn trades as such, and that trade has sort of carried me on, you know, throughout my whole life now, and it will do, because I'm not going to be changing to anything else, because it's what I do, what I love, you know. So I guess that is, you know, the one thing, you know, and it was just it sort of happened by accident, really. So you've got to listen to life, you know, you've got to listen to these sort of things that, you know, that are going on as well. So
I agree. Yeah, thank you. Great work, Dad, I'd say. What is exciting you at the moment? Are there any particular projects or initiatives that you are working on, and what impact do you hope they'll have, and why? So what's keeping you busy at the moment?
keeping me busy is just working on the business, you know, just growing the business, helping more people, photographing more people, and just letting them see how good they can look in front of the camera, you know, and just spreading that confidence and spreading that mental sunshine. You know, just doing a little, you know, a little thing to help as many people as we can. You know, just putting it out there and waiting for the.
I think you're amazing, John. I think you're amazing. Going forward a bit, if we were sitting here 3 years from today, what exciting things will you be telling me that you've done?
I will be telling you that I'm now being on stage as a speaker, talking about all these wonderful things that people can do to elevate their mental sunshine. Yeah, that's I think that's where I'd like to be, just encouraging people from the stage.
So my shout out to that is, if there's anybody watching this that would love to have John on stage talking about anything we've talked about, I think there's a presentation about energy, smiling, your face, you know, your vibes. Just, I think it's so important. It's like the unwritten stuff that, you know, we all have in us, right? It's just about bringing that. So, oh my God, I'm gonna put some feelers out. Wicked. What advice or insights would you offer to people starting on their life's journey today? Knowing everything that you know, having experienced, you know, even if it was a younger version of John or your daughter, you know, what messages and what sort of advice could you give?
Just not have too strict a plan, and just go with the flow. Because you don't know what's around the corner, and you don't know why you meet certain people in life. You don't know why you do certain things in life. I mean, looking back, you know, all the things I've done, I've been able to recall and you know, use them in other ways in my life. You know, so it's just going out and just enjoy. You know, there's so many people that are in a job that they hate and they can't get out of it, or they think they can't get out of it. You know?
And relationships.
Well, everything really. It's, you know, you've got to, you know, life's about it being living joy.
It is.
You know, that's our natural state is happiness. You know, we're just clouded by all this other stuff that's going on. You know, just go with the flow and just do what you want to do.
I agree, and you know, we've got a 200 million year old brain that's trying to sabotage us all the time, you know, that still thinks we're coming out of a cave, you know, and we're, you know, I mean, our brain is just hardwired historically to keep us alive, to spot all the risks, to spot all the dangers, and it's trying to sabotage us. There's no two ways about it. I think it's interesting what you just said. I mean, you know, I'm reading a book, or I started reading a book, which is about sort of the history of women, and, you know, going back to witches and, you know, in the medieval times, and women, I think, are so powerful, right? And if all of this story talks about how life's like a river, and there's points in the river that at the time you think, why is this happening to me? But it's often for me. And when you, if any of us, whoever's watching, you, me, and we take a stop and we say, let's try and map back all the things that have happened in the sequence of events that they've happened that's got us here. It's so obvious why things happened a certain way, from jobs to people coming. You know, I'm marrying Stuart in May, and I met Stuart, you know, 2010. Like, I've known Stuart for like nearly 14 years. And at the time, you know, he was just someone I met on a coaching program. I didn't even fancy him. Like, he tells me everyone I did fancy him, but I didn't. But, you know, like, you know, we were just friends. And now look, you know, our paths have crossed many times over the years. So you just never know, right? You just never know. So just live is basically what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, there's a Steve Jobs quote, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's about, you know, it's about you doing certain things in life, you know, to get, you know, I wish I could remember the actual
It's all right.
was, but yeah, it's about doing different things, because he was saying about, you know, when he did, you know, he went to a graphic design class and he used, you know, he learned font design and things like that, and all the little things, and it's looking back on those, you know, that have all helped him to be where, you know, to get to where he went to. So
yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And just go with the flow, right? Ultimately, go with the flow. One more thing. We were talking about the dogs barking in the background. We was talking about humans under management, wasn't we, just before? And obviously that's where you and your team pitch up and do headshots of people, financial advisors. And there's a speaker on stage. I was just saying to you just before we hit the record button that there's actually a symptom or an illness, which is, and I'm going to try and pronounce it again, prosopagnosia. Basically, it's also known as face blindness, right? And the speaker was really good, because what he was doing is he was basically he took pictures, and he got pictures off the internet of where there's been like a face in a tree, or there's what looks like a face in a cloud, and there's no face. And we are all designed to be able to spot faces, right? But there's also an illness, which is where there's propagnosias that they can't, face blindness. And we found out this morning that Brad Pitt has got face blindness, Stephen Wozniak, who can't recognize faces. Given the job that you do, how must that be for those people? I mean, a completely off point question, really, but given how must that be?
It must be. Well, they must be able to compensate in other ways. You know, the body's like that. If you know, for example, I mean, I guess you could put it to, you know, like blind people. You know, they recognise people in other ways.
Yeah.
You know, through their voice, through their energy levels, and things like that. So, but yeah, I mean, I suffer from the other thing, which is not face blindness, is name blindness, because I can recognise faces, and I was like, I know you, but, you know,
can't remember your name.
Just trying to find the name in the background, whether I photographed them before or something like that, and I always recognise the faces, and obviously that's we see, you know, thousands of faces, and recognise features in people that other people have got. So when I'm looking at through the camera as well, looking at people's eyes, I think, oh, your eyes really look like so and so's eyes. You know, generally a sort of famous person, because you're seeing that all the time, or certain features. You know, but yeah, it must be quite, you know, quite a difficult, because say we all just recognise those faces, and that's why we do what we do, is to help people recognise that person when we meet them in person, you know.
Well, and think about babies. You know, babies are non-verbal, obviously, really, as babies, and all they see is faces, the faces of the mother, the faces of the father. and it says everything, you know, like a smile, you know, a twinkle in your eye, you know, all these things, they are important. And that, you know, the as they say, you know, the eyes and the face is the window to the soul, right? So, you know, you've got to really be conscious of that, your face and what you do. And you know, I'm obviously getting a bit older and my wrinkles are starting, but I've still got my sparkly eyes and I've still got my, you know, my big smile. And I think that's who I am. And I think we've all got that, almost that signature look, haven't we? And you know, so John, look, I'm a massive go on.
I was going to say there's also people who can't really control their expressions very much. They're quite expressionless. They're not sure, you know. I mean, people like Mark Zuckerberg, you know, it's difficult to get them to smile, you know. Or to, you know, you can always see it's trying to be forced because they're not quite sure what to do. So there's lots of people like that as well, which yeah, we try and, you know, they're sort of harder to work with as well because they can't see that. But you know,
I think look, I think you have a very special job, you know, and I'm, you know, in terms of a role, what you do for people, you know, you talked before about the confidence that, you know, you bring out in people. I think it's incredibly powerful. I think I'm a massive fan, John. Like, you know, like I say, I've never read a single one of your newsletters, but you know what? I never needed to, because that title alone did it for me when it popped into my inbox. I missed you when I don't see you at events, when I'm like, even at Humans Under Management, it's like, ooh, and I was like looking around and no John, and I'm like that.
Yeah, I was up in Birmingham that day. So
no offense to your lovely team, but they're not you. They're not you. But you know, I'm a massive fan. I think I love who you are, what you're about. I love following you on LinkedIn. So to close us off, tell everybody how they can get in contact with you and how they can sign up for your wonderful newsletter. Please do share.
Absolutely. Well, just Google the Headshot Guy. You know, that's us. You know, we got the headshotguy.co.uk. I'm on LinkedIn. The newsletter, you can sign up via the website for newsletter. You can email me, john@headshotguy.co.uk. But the newsletter also goes out onto my LinkedIn profile. So the newsletter comes out every Thursday morning, 6:16. It goes out. And we've now started, say, publishing that on LinkedIn for the past sort of 4 or 5 weeks. So you can subscribe on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, and yeah, just
embrace yourself, people. You will occasionally see pictures of John in his ice tub. It happens. It is possible. There's often a picture that pops up, which I equally like to see, right?
Well, so there'll be pictures of me in a lake at about 3 or 4 degrees in a couple of weeks.
I know, I've seen them too. They're highly traumatizing, I have to say, but because I know what you're going to do or you've just done. But other than that, I love seeing your face. It has been lovely to see you today. It's been lovely to see your face and to you know, share some of the stuff. And I'm really excited that I've uncovered stuff that I just didn't know about you, and it just adds more colour and flavour to who you are, and it makes you more of you. So John, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to hit the stop record button, and thank you very much.
Thank you.